All right, let's now talk to Aphiwe Mkhangelwa, who is, or would have been a contestant at least, who was not allowed to register along with his region. Aphiwe, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. The president of the African National Congress, President Cyril Ramaphosa, declaring this Congress a success, saying that, yes, there were attempts to disrupt, but put those aside. This has been a success, lauding the work of the interim committees and the task team that put this all together. What's your analysis of the outcomes of this weekend's Congress?
Thank you, Tabunshuli, and thank you to the viewers as well. Greetings. My view would be a clear one, that the ANC as well as the ANC Youth League, whenever you have a dispute in any matter, you are to follow certain processes in terms of resolving those disputes. Yes, you are correct that all our delegates, including myself, we could not be allowed to register once the audit report was there, and it was clear on who must register and who must not register. But for some reason or the other, we're not permitted to do that or undergo that process. So we have officially lodged a complaint and an appeal to the ANC, and we know that there are certain time frames for the ANC to sit, your ANC officials and WC, NEC, to entertain such disputes or appeals. So I can confirm to you now and to the newsroom viewers that we have officially lodged an appeal as it relates to the Congress of the Youth League. We believe that it's correct for the ANC Youth League to have an elected leadership, especially after 8 years without having a structure.
Yeah. And
we also believe that in having that leadership, it must not be in a kind of a scenario where it is forced, in a scenario where constitutional processes are suspended. Because we don't want to have leadership for the sake of having leadership, but we want to have leadership because of the constitution of the ANC Youth League, and that leadership must be informed by credible processes that have unfolded to yield to the results of having a credible Congress. So
I'm interested in these some reasons or the other why you were sidelined and your audit was ignored. The president saying that these were maybe attempts to disrupt and these need to be put aside. Obviously, if you're saying you are appealing, you are not at the point where you're putting aside your issues for the party to continue to do political work.
Yeah, the president, I can't argue with what the statement of the president to say some groups wanted to disrupt or vice versa. But what I can argue is that the president can only be aware of the faults that we have identified as people that are leading youth leaguers in our regions. And in that process, the president fully understands there's nothing wrong for the president to go and close the Congress of the Youth League. But subsequently, it does not mean that the president won't be listening or forming part of the structures that must listen to the issues that we have as young people, as it leads to appealing to the process that just took place. Because we believe that you can't, after 8 years, we want to sit a Congress of the Youth League, and then you have situations where other comrades are not permitted to form part of Congress. Whilst every process has been followed, that must permit them to be forming part of Congress. We have heard that it was said that Krizani did not want to register and etc. It was causing chaos. We have evidence, and we have forwarded that evidence to the national officials of the ANC, including the president, that we were always disciplined, and we have always called for our registration, and we have always spoken with a coordinator and organizing, which is Comrade Mdu and Comrade Zwelo. And we have evidence to that fact. We have paper trail that talks to our registration up until yesterday, 9:15. So we have been trying to register. And, of course, we do understand that Chris region was nominated and nominated me as well to stand for presidency of the Youth League nationally. And the fact that we were amongst of the 7 regions that were not permitted to register for no reason.
So no reason was given to you at all.
There's no reason.
There are
no reason.
There are some claims that we saw on Friday, for example, that some of the regional congresses were not properly constituted.
Remember, Thabo, we're not talking about congresses now. We're talking about BGMs that had to sit and elect delegates to attend Congress. That's what we're talking about now. Because what constitutes a conference or a Congress of the Youth League nationally, it talks to the BGMs. So I'm saying those BGMs, they did take place, and they even sent us an audit of our branches that have passed audit. Out of 114, they said 53, and we were only sent a report that is final. We know, the president knows, the SG knows, everyone knows that when you go through a Congress, you get to have verification reports, you are afforded an option of rerunning PTMs that could not sit properly, and etc. You get to be afforded an option of doing corrections on branches that could not sit. But this time around, for the first time in the history of our movement, ANC and the ANC Youth League were never afforded that. We were given an audit report 2 days before Congress, and part of the 114 branches that we lead, you have branches that have been failed to say they are less than 100 in terms of membership. We have those branches. We can produce them at any moment and prove that they are more than 100. They are in good standing. They are supposed to be in good standing. But they are recorded as 57, 67, and etc. So when you afford the opportunity to do corrections, you clear those mistakes that have been done through audit process. That's why we were called for audit. But we are refused to undergo through the process of correcting the audit report. So this is part of the things that led us to the state that we are in now. But besides those branches that were purposefully failed, we have branches, 53 of them that had passed audit. Their delegates, all of them, are present. They are here in Gauteng. And those branches wanted to register and go participate in Congress.
Yeah.
But they were refused an option of registering, and it was reported in plenary recording that Chrysan refused and did not want to register to form part of Congress. And we are saying we have evidence. We wrote to the coordinator that we want audit.
Right.
And they gave us a person who must audit our branches.
Yeah. So Aphiwe, you're saying your matters have absolutely nothing to do. They are separate from, for example, the matters that are being raised by the SG of the ANC that pertain to ANC Youth League Eastern Cape Provincial Congress Preparatory Committee issues.
No, they're totally separate. Because remember, the discussion of Eastern Cape to say it set a successful Congress or it set a Congress that was not sanctioned to sit is something separate. For a Congress, to constitute a national Congress, you constitute it through branches. So yesterday, branches were there that we received from the audit committee appointed by the national office, the SGO in particular, to come and participate in Congress. They came. All of them, they came. And we were there. I'm the regional chairperson of Chrysan.
Yeah.
That alone gave me a right to be a delegate to Congress as per the guidelines. But I could not form part of Congress. Because there was a particular instruction that Chrysan must not be registered.
From where?
And then when it's reported in plenary,
from where?
That Chrysan, it's reported in plenary that Chrysan did not want to register. And we are saying we have evidence to confirm that is a lie. Where did
the instruction come from not to register Chrysan?
Yes, there was an instruction that we got from the auditors that Comrade Mdumanana had closed the registration and that there must be no registration that takes place. It was in the middle of registration, Tab.
Yeah.
To an extent that we still have videos where there were tags that had been printed for Krizani. There were templates for registering delegates for Krizani. We have captured them. We have that evidence.
Right.
In the middle of the process, we were refused then to register.
Yeah. So the president has lauded, for example, the president.
On the last point, Tabo, before disrupting you, just on the last point, even on the part of availability for me to contest presidents, I have never been called by IEC. The person that has called me is Comrade Stella Ndabeni, who is not IEC, who is an NEC member of the ANC. And my expectation and anyone's expectation is that when you are raised, because my name was raised on the floor, when your name has been raised, IEC must be able to call you and seek a written format that confirms your availability or no, or if you are not available. It must be there.
Yeah.
I've never received that. Anyone can go and contact IEC. Yeah. I've never received any communication from the electoral committee to confirm my availability or to confirm if I'm not available.
Yeah. So Nobile, I'm out of time, but I just want to clear this. You're mentioning two names there. One is Ndumanana, the other one is Stella Ndabeni Abrams, which, in a sense, you would consider them as veterans of the ANC Youth League. And the president lauded them for the role that they played. You're seemingly not happy with the role that they played.
Definitely. And ANC knows that many structures are not happy. About 8 regions were not afforded an opportunity to register and form part of Congress. After 8 years, as you have mentioned, Congress not sitting, but you have a Congress that sits on credentials of 2,000 plus delegates, whilst you have a potential delegation of 4,000 plus. That tells you that there's something wrong. Because when you are rebuilding the ANC League and you want Congress to sit successfully, then the expectations that you must have is that the entire country, when it splits to branches, most of the branches would form part of the Congress and participate in terms of the Congress discussions and the resolutions to be taken onto, such that you can have an ANC League that will be owned by young people of the country and an ANC League that will be able to respond to the complex challenges that young people are facing in the country. So you can't have that when you have certain individuals that would decide that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 must not form part of the Congress. You can't.
Aphiwe, appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Let's leave it there. Aphiwe Mkhangelwa, presidency contestant who was not allowed to be a part of Congress, certainly appealing that decision.